There's a reason you've never heard of this monopoly. Not because it's small, but because it's designed to stay invisible. Every day you wake up, you check your phone, you order food, buy products, maybe even invest your money. Everything feels normal. But behind that normal life, there's a system quietly controlling how things move, how things are priced, and in many cases, what options you even have. And here's the crazy part. This system isn't controlled by hundreds of companies competing with each other. It's controlled by just a handful, a few powerful players, sitting at the center of a network worth over $400 billion. And most people, they have absolutely no idea it exists. Let me show you something. Imagine you walk into a grocery store in the United States. You see dozens of brands, different logos, different packaging, different prices. It looks like competition, right? But what if I told you a large percentage of those different products are actually controlled by the same small group of companies? Not directly in front of you, but behind the scenes. The illusion of choice is one of the most powerful tools this system uses. Because when people believe they have options, they stop questioning who's really in control. Now zoom out. This isn't just about groceries. This pattern repeats across multiple industries: food, shipping, raw materials, financial systems, even parts of the tech world. In each of these sectors, you'll find something interesting. The top 3 to 5 companies dominate everything. They don't just compete. They control access. Access to supply. Access to distribution. Access to infrastructure. And once you control access, you don't need to fight for customers anymore. Customers come to you, whether they realize it or not. So how does something like this even happen? How do a few companies quietly build a $400 billion stronghold, without the public even noticing? It starts slowly. Years ago, these industries looked very different. More players, more competition, more independence. But over time, small companies started disappearing. Some failed, some got acquired, some were simply pushed out because they couldn't compete at scale. And every time one of those companies disappeared, power shifted upward, into fewer hands. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. These companies didn't just grow bigger, they got smarter. Instead of focusing on just one part of the business, they started controlling multiple layers at once. Think about it like owning a highway. You don't need to own every car on the road if you control the road itself. That's exactly what they did. They positioned themselves at the points where everything passes through. So whether it's a product, a service, or even money, at some point, it goes through them. And once you reach that level of control, you become something very different from a normal company. You become unavoidable, not famous, not flashy, just essential. And that's why this monopoly is so powerful. Because it doesn't rely on attention. It relies on dependency. You don't need to know it exists for it to influence your life every single day. Now you might be wondering, if it's this big, why hasn't it been exposed already? That's where things start to get even deeper. Because the way this monopoly operates is nothing like what most people expect. And once you understand that, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Most people think power looks obvious. A giant brand, a famous CEO, a company everyone talks about. But real control, it's usually quiet. And the monopoly we're talking about doesn't sit on the surface. It sits underneath everything. Let's break it down in a simple way. There are 2 types of companies in the world. The ones you see, and the ones everything depends on. The first group fights for your attention. Ads, branding, marketing, social media. The second group, they don't care if you know their name, because they're customers, aren't you? Their customers are the businesses you interact with every day. Think about that for a second. A company that supplies raw materials doesn't need millions of customers. It only needs a few massive clients. A company that controls shipping routes doesn't need brand loyalty. It just needs control over infrastructure. A company that handles financial systems doesn't need to go viral. It just needs to sit in the middle of every transaction. And that's exactly how this $400 billion monopoly is structured. It's not one single company. It's a network. A tightly connected group of dominant players, each controlling a critical piece of the puzzle. Let's take a real-world style example. Imagine a product being created and delivered to you. Step 1. Raw materials. Step 2. Manufacturing. Step 3. Transportation. Step 4. Distribution. Step 5. Retail. Looks like a long chain, right? Now here's the twist. In many industries, the same few companies are involved in multiple steps of that chain. Sometimes directly, sometimes through subsidiaries, sometimes through partnerships you'd never even notice. This is called vertical integration, and it's one of the most powerful strategies ever used. Because when you control multiple layers, you control the flow. You decide who gets access, how fast things move, what it costs, and more importantly, who gets left out. Now imagine trying to compete with that. You're a new company. You have a great product. You're ready to enter the market. But suddenly, you realize something. The supplier you need, controlled. The logistics network, controlled. The distribution channels, also controlled. You're not competing in a free market anymore. You're trying to enter a system where the gatekeepers are already in place. And this is why so many industries feel closed off. Not officially, but practically, because even if the rules say you can compete, the structure makes it nearly impossible. Now here's where it gets even more subtle. These companies don't always act like traditional monopolies. They don't always raise prices aggressively. They don't always block competitors openly. Instead, they maintain balance. Just enough competition to keep things looking fair. Just enough stability to avoid attention. Because the moment things look too controlled, that's when regulators step in. So they stay just below that line. Powerful, but not obvious. Dominant, but not exposed. And while all of this is happening, most people are focused somewhere else. On trending topics, on big tech drama, on viral news. Meanwhile, this system keeps running in the background, growing, expanding, strengthening. But here's the part most people don't realize. Once a system like this reaches a certain size, it doesn't just control industries. It starts influencing entire economies. And when that happens, the impact goes way beyond companies. It starts affecting everyday life. Prices, jobs, opportunities, even the future of innovation itself. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover next. Because the real story is not just about how this monopoly works. It's about what it's actually doing to the world around you. Now let's talk about what this actually means for you. Because up until now, this might sound like a big, distant system. Something happening behind boardroom doors and global supply chains. But the truth is, this kind of monopoly doesn't stay in the background. It shows up in your daily life, in ways you don't even notice. Let's start with something simple. Prices. Have you ever noticed how multiple brands raise prices around the same time? Different companies, different products, yet somehow the price goes up together. That's not always coincidence. When a small group controls key parts of the supply chain, they influence the baseline cost for everyone else. Raw materials go up, transportation costs increase, processing becomes more expensive. Every brand downstream feels it, and they pass it on to you. Now here's the key point. Even if those brands are competing, they're often operating on the same underlying system. So the competition you see is built on a shared foundation controlled by a few. Next, availability. You walk into a store or open an app, and suddenly something is out of stock, or delayed, or limited. At first, it feels random, but when a handful of companies control production and distribution, any disruption at the top ripples through everything below. A delay in one part of the system can affect entire regions. And because everything is interconnected, small issues become big problems very quickly. Now let's talk about something even bigger. Opportunity. This is where the real impact starts to hit. In a healthy market, new businesses can enter, compete, and grow. But in a system dominated by a few powerful players, that path becomes much harder. Not impossible, but stacked against you. Think about startups. You've got innovation. You've got ideas. You've got ambition. But to scale, you need access. Access to suppliers. Access to logistics. Access to distribution networks. And if those access points are controlled, You're not just building a business. You're negotiating with gatekeepers. This is why many startups don't fail because of bad ideas. They fail because they can't break into the system. Now here's something even more interesting. Innovation itself starts to slow down. Because when a few companies dominate, they don't always have strong incentives to change. Why would they? They already control the market. They already have stability. They already have profit. Innovation often comes from competition, from pressure, from new players challenging the old ones. But when that pressure disappears, progress can slow down, not stop completely, but lose its edge. And all of this creates something subtle but powerful. A system that feels stable on the surface, but is actually fragile underneath. Because when everything depends on a few key players, those players become critical points of failure. If something goes wrong at the top, it doesn't stay there. It spreads fast. We've seen hints of this before. Moments where supply chains break, prices spike, industries struggle to keep up, and people start asking, what's going on? But the real answer is deeper than most realize. It's not just about one event. It's about how the entire system is structured. And once you understand that structure, you start to see something very clearly. This isn't just a business story. It's a power story. A small group of companies with the ability to influence how goods move, how markets behave, and how opportunities are created or limited. And now the big question becomes, how did we allow this to happen? Were there no rules, no regulators, no one watching as this power concentrated? That's where things get even more complicated. Because technically, there are rules. But the way this system evolved, it didn't exactly break them. It just outgrew them. And that's what we're diving into next. Because understanding the rules and their limits is the key to understanding why this monopoly still exists today. So now we get to the most important question. If this kind of power is so massive, so influential, so deeply embedded in the system, why hasn't it been stopped? The truth is, it's not as simple as breaking up a monopoly. Because this isn't a traditional monopoly. There's no single company you can point at and say, that's the one. Instead, it's a network, a structure built over decades, through mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, and strategic positioning. And here's the key problem. Most regulations were designed for a different time, a time when monopolies were obvious. One company, one industry, clear control. But today, power is more distributed, more layered, and much harder to track. Companies don't always dominate directly. They dominate indirectly, through ownership stakes, through supply agreements, through control over infrastructure. So technically, they're competing, but practically, they're connected. And because of that, they operate in a gray area. Not fully illegal, not fully transparent, just complex enough to stay under the radar. Now add one more layer to this. These companies are deeply tied into the global economy. Governments rely on them. Industries depend on them. Millions of jobs are connected to them. So even if regulators wanted to step in aggressively, it's risky, because disrupting the system could create even bigger problems. And that's the paradox. The very thing that makes this monopoly powerful also makes it difficult to break. So instead of being removed, it continues, quietly, efficiently, expanding its influence over time. But here's the part that really matters. This isn't about fear. This is about awareness. Because once you understand how these systems work, you start seeing the world differently. You start noticing patterns. Why prices move the way they do. Why certain industries feel locked. Why some companies grow insanely fast, while others never get the chance. And most importantly, you stop believing that everything is purely random. Because behind the scenes, there are structures, there are systems, and sometimes, there are monopolies hiding in plain sight. A $400 billion network of power that most people will never even question. But now, you're not most people anymore. If this opened your eyes even a little, make sure you like the video so more people can understand what's really going on. And if you want more deep, real stories like this, subscribe to the channel and stay ahead of what others don't see.